So as an owner of multiple 911s and multiple R8s, this video is talking about the switch that I made from a 15 911 GTS to a 14 Audi R8. In a way, you're thinking, well, why would you go backwards? A 911 was a year newer car and actually cost about $25,000 more at the time. However, so what I'll do with this video is talk about why I made the switch, pros and cons of the 911 versus the R8, and then I'll talk about the Gen 2 R8 that I eventually moved into. So first, what are the top 5 things I liked about the 911? Exterior looks, just the classic looks of the 911. In particular, the side profile in the rear looks outstanding. Both of the models I had were rhodium silver. I ended up switching to black wheels, the black sport wheels. And again, I just felt the car looked phenomenal in person, in pictures. That's number one. Number two, I'll call it the track DNA of a 911. It feels like it's built as a sports car first. And especially as you move up the scale to the track focus models, they're really buttoned down, incredible steering feel. I had in the 14 Carrera 4S, so all-wheel drive with the sport suspension that Porsche offered. So essentially it's lowered by 10 millimeters. And the thing was incredible. Just the accuracy, the precision. Number 3, the overall practicality. You could drive the car easily on the road, on the street. Had rear seats, so in a pinch, not really adults, but certainly young kids could hop in the back. So the overall usability of the 911 would certainly be number 3. Number 4, the engine. It was a naturally aspirated flat 6, and the sound of the car is phenomenal. The power, the throttle response, all of those things were incredible about the 911. And number 5, I would say, as much as I enjoyed the looks that I mentioned, also it's a bit understated. It has a very classic look to it, a gentleman's supercar. It's not overstyled. It's not over the top. And, you know, you can configure these cars to no end. There's so many different variations. That's also a huge plus. On the downside, why would I leave a 911 for an R8? I would say it just didn't feel quite special enough for, as I moved from a single car to a daily driver plus a sports car. And as much as I love the 911, I felt for $100,000 at the time, even a used vehicle, that was still just a bit too much money, and I felt there were some better options out there. So as I started looking around, I wasn't really even thinking R8 until I came across an ad, just kind of browsing online, and I realized, wow, I could pick up, at the time, a few years ago, a 14 R8 V8, 15,000 miles for about $25,000 less than I was paying for, that I had into my 911. So to me, that was a no-brainer. Then it was just a search of what am I looking for. So I ended up with a 14 V8. It, as you could see in the pictures, it was black. It looked phenomenal on the road. The car all black with the LEDs lit up. The interior was black. It was not a manual. It was really hard to find a manual. I test drove a couple, but they just had high miles and weren't the right car for me. So I did settle, if you will, on the S-Tronic, the dual clutch. I really enjoyed it. It was very engaging. My concern was going away from a manual, the car wouldn't be engaging enough, but it certainly was. So what are the top 5 things I enjoyed about the R8? Number 1, the value. Moving and spending less to get something I felt like was in many ways more exciting was certainly there. Number 2, the exterior looks. I mean, it looks like a supercar. You could argue, is it an exotic or a supercar? But either way, you could certainly see that the exterior looks are stunning. Number 3, the V8. The high revving V8 in particular is something. Had it in M cars, all those cars that I enjoy are all naturally aspirated. Nothing against turbo cars. However, it's just that having naturally aspirated cars, the V8, I put on a Klein race exhaust, and it was sound phenomenal. It had this German muscle car feel to it. Number 3, the interior quality was great. Super happy with it. And, really number 4, number 5, just be the drivability of the car was fantastic. It did not beat you up. It was a bit softer than the 911s, admittedly. However, for my driving, back roads, spirited driving, car drives with clubs, it was completely fine, even if it didn't have quite the button down or the precision that the 911s had. So overall, I was super, super happy with my choice. And then the only reason I sold was I started taking a look at Gen 2s and maybe moving on. So I moved into a 2018 Gen 2 RWS in Daytona Gray. Then here's a quick clip of the sound to hear the V10. Take a look at the Gen 2 in particular. To me, just exotic looking, supercar looks, and it just felt like it was a whole different level from 911. So that's my thinking, my logic. I have other videos. I hope you enjoy them, taking a look at the videos on my Audi R8s.